This conference will now be recorded.
And he's at a conference in Sherman, so I get to lead again. Becoming a pattern. Is there anyone, we have an opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone from the public here or online, Anita, that wishes to give a comment?
There's 14 individuals online, and they seem to all be members.
Okay, great. Item number 3 is an action item regarding approval of minutes from the May 1, 2024 meeting. Everyone's had a chance to review the minutes. Any comments on those?
Second.
Jason, thanks, Bobby. You have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, minutes are approved. Item number 4 is a discussion and action item regarding a change to the September TAC meeting date. Normally we have our meetings the first Wednesday of the month, but there is a TxDOT planning conference that conflicts with those dates, and that some staff will be attending. So where staff is requesting that the TAC meeting be postponed 1 week to September 11th instead of September 4th, I guess is what it will be. Make sure we have those dates right. Yeah, September 11th from September 4th. Any questions, comments? Everyone's okay with that? I need a motion.
Motion.
Thanks, Daryl. Second?
Second.
Second from Brian. I heard that one clearly, so we'll go with Brian. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. And we'll send out, on just a note, we created a new mailbox just for meeting invites so that it's not coming from, it's coming from an individual, but it's for meetings specifically. So for the August meeting, also for this meeting, you'll be getting, the ones that you have will be canceled and you'll be getting a new email. It's PRS meetings at SafeHawk.org because we're going to use it for all the planning department meetings. So that is coming. We'll send that out this afternoon or sometime after the meeting. Okay, item number 5 is a discussion and action item regarding recommending approval of the 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. We've been at this for several months now, and we started public engagement. That was a while ago. Back in June, I think we started public engagement. We also had a workshop. Public engagement for this is still going on, and I'll have a need to give an update here in a second. But we're at the end. I know we've gotten a few comments from some of y'all throughout this, just on minor stuff. Jason, I saw your email this morning. Appreciate that.
Most of those were just readability stuff.
Yeah. At the workshop, we kind of gave some of y'all were there. We kind of gave an overview of what we changed, and then mentioned that there's going to be some formatting and like updates to pictures, table of contents. Most of those have been included. I think there's still a few minor things that we'll look through, and then other than that, we haven't had any. Anita, do you want to give an update on public engagement? If we've had any major comments and what's been done so far?
Sure. On June the 18th, we had a informal meeting at the Harker Heights Public Library, and it was I felt like it was well attended by some dignitaries, and they had some questions about Featherline, and we were able to direct them to the right source. And then in Copper's Cove on June 22nd, and it was well attended with 8 individuals that attended. And then on June 26th, we had one here with Central Texas Council of Governments. And at that point, we decided to pivot. And so we are going back out in the community. We've scheduled 2 ride-alongs on the hop. Yesterday, we had a ride-along. We completed 9 surveys on that ride-along. And people just really appreciate the hop, Daryl, and all the services that y'all provide. They're very open to sharing their, expressing their thoughts about it. So, and plus we also got 4 comments about it, and they're excited for the microtransit services. And then on Monday night, we presented to the Troy City Council meeting, and we had a citizen ask a question about why Goats Road wasn't selected over the Front Avenue project. So we're in the process of responding to that question. And so it's been receiving a lot of good quality comments from citizens. So I'm very pleased with that. And I'd like to encourage everyone, we have it's called our Last Chance survey on our social media on Facebook. Please share that because it'll be the last opportunity for individuals to comment regarding this MTP. And it's really about quality of life and what they would like to see in the next 50 years. Or till 2050, I should say. Thank you, James.
Yeah, thanks, Anita. Yeah, the comment period ends next Wednesday, July 17th.
That's correct.
So we have another week of comments, but it sounds like so far mostly been clarifying questions about specific projects and not the language content or the narrative content. If any, I mean, as you, same goes for the TAC. If there's any more comments or things you notice that don't look quite right, please let us know. We'll be making minor edits before policy board approves officially at their meeting on the 24th. Any questions for staff? All right, well, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to recommend approval of the 2050 MTP.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? All right, hearing none, motion carries. And we'll move on to item number 6, which is regarding recommended approval of the 2015 Metropolitan Transportation Plan project listing. We separated these 2 items because we have a large project listing and it's technically an appendix to the plan. I guess I shouldn't. Callie and Dre over there were the ones that actually put this together, so I'll let them speak to what is actually in this project listing.
Yeah, so the first bit is what is in our tip for the FY 25 through 28. And then it's all separated by major roadway, minor roadway, and livability projects. And then we have their categories listed for the funding. So after the tip projects are listed, we've got the proposed FY 25 to 28 projects that were in that scenario 7 that was selected in May for funding. So those projects are listed next. And then more of the proposed projects that will be in the short range for FY 29 through 34. And those are all listed by like major roadway, minor roadway, and livability. And then after that, we've got the long range projects, again, listed by their road type and category. And then after those, we have the unfunded projects that were listed. And all of these projects are from the project listings that were approved back in May.
Thanks, Callie. The old format, the list, I think everyone's seen quite a few times. We thought that was a little outdated, so trying to simplify everything. That whole project listing is included in your packet, pages 21 through 42, and We also have, if anyone would like to look at the Excel spreadsheet, we can send that out after, if there are questions. But this is our fiscally constrained list for the MTP plan, which is required. And we still kind of just, everything that was approved in that funding scenario 7, and then also all the projects that were submitted for the project car in this list, and that's what's comprised in here. Any questions, comments? The motion from Bob to recommend approving the project listing.
Second.
And a second. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Item number 7 is discussion and action item regarding direction for phase 2 of the Texas National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure, or NEVI, plan implementation in the MPO region. Just a short refresher on the NEVI program. This was established in the bipartisan infrastructure law, along with a couple others like the carbon reduction program. It's the program requires that each state create their own development plan describing how the funding they're going to receive will be used. TxDOT has they submitted their initial plan and got approval for it in 2022, and they also received approval for a phase 1 implementation, which is currently in progress. A couple months ago, we had a TIP amendment for a NEVI project in Killeen, and that was through the phase 1 of this program, which was to put, I don't know the exact details, but it was looking at the national highway corridor of the interstates mostly, and making sure there are enough electric vehicle charging infrastructure stations on those routes. A few weeks ago, we had a meeting with the TxDOT folks that are implementing this plan to discuss phase 2, which requires the MPO involvement. So for phase 2, TxDOT is going to be, they'll still administer it. They're using the same program that they used for phase 1, but because these are stations that are going to be within the MPO and not necessarily on the national highway system, they need the MPO's input into where to put the stations, and then also what power level to use. So there are basically 2 options for each. One is the study area, which could be the entire boundary of the MPO, and then, or we could choose to look at specific areas or corridors. And then the second is the power level, and the 2 options are DC fast chargers or level 2 chargers. TxDOT strongly recommended that the MPO pick the DC fast charge, but we can choose the other one if we want. That map on there is a little hard to read, but there is a link with where existing stations are. Staff recommendation is for us to select the entire MPO boundary as the study area, and then the DC fast chargers for the power level. In our discussions with TxDOT, they said we were kind of on the edge in terms of our MPO size to choose the whole area or just specific corridors. But we felt like it wasn't really much of a difference. Like, it would be a lot more work for us to choose specific corridors, and the way that they have their program set up. We will get like a second round to look at the projects that they're recommending after they do their application and scoring and all of that. And then the DC fast chargers, I think, make a lot more sense than the level 2 chargers in terms of what they're going to provide for the system. So. It's the time that it takes to charge, and I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but the level 2 is, it's a plug similar to what you plug your washer or dryer with, the same type of plug. And then the DC fast charges, like those Tesla ones that you see, I think the difference is like minutes. less than an hour to more than an hour, or maybe a couple hours for charging. And I think most everywhere is moving to DC fast charge as kind of the standard charging. Yeah. I think if you're at your house and overnight and you plug into like a washer outlet, 8 hours, like that's not an issue. But if you're driving somewhere and you want to fill up, the level 2 charger is going to take a lot longer, where the DC fast charge, you can be there 20, 30 minutes and then be ready to go again.
Fast charge, it's faster.
Yes, much faster.
About an
I
hour.
More full.
Where you're at.
Yeah, and
Battery charge.
yeah, and they kind of likened it to your phone, where it'll, when it hits 80%, it kind of goes a lot slower after that point. So it's similar for a car, where you don't need a full 100% charge to go most of the way. You can get 80% and then you're fine, and it gets you to 80% really fast.
Okay, thanks, James.
Yeah, okay, fine.
James, we'd like just to be part of that study going forward. We've got a couple spots in park garages, one's open, one's still in the middle. There's spots that is new for charging stations, but they haven't installed the hardware yet.
Okay.
So there's an opportunity there.
I think on the statewide plan map, or there's maybe another place where you can recommend locations, and they'll use that. So if you've done that, I think that's kind of all. They did say that the way the program works is sort of like we can't say, hey, we want a spot here and only here. They're going to give us a list and say, here's a list, take it or leave it, kind of.
But if there's future opportunities, whether that's Cat 7, Cat 10, said that's eligible because it's carbon reduction. And I don't know, just stuff at the wall. If we can show that we were part of the study, that we're on the map, and just say that this helps us score higher for that funding opportunity. I'm not thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll look back into it. I know they gave us a ton of information, and I'll need to refresh myself on exactly what that is. And I know they have a whole document on how they select projects, because I think they get applications from the private sector really for locations, and that's what they're choosing from.
Is that related to the one in the HEB?
Yeah, or near HEB, and it was a private company that's putting them in. Yeah,
there's opportunities, I just want to chase them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree, because we, as a city, we've been dabbling and looking into it individually. We would like an opportunity, if available, to be part of that study.
Yeah, I can, in a study area is just where they can put new stations. And so if we want to be specific on where, we can say, hey, this corridor and this corridor, but we can't be as specific as this location.
Right.
And so they're saying if you put the whole study area, that gives a little bit more flexibility into what comes in and what doesn't come in. And we'd rather them be able to spend the money in our region than not spend it because we were too specific. But I'll follow up too and see if there's a way for, specific locations, like cities, if they can be involved in that process somehow, and recommending or, even encouraging private sector to apply. I'm not sure how it works, but I'll follow up. We'll follow up.
Yeah, because if there's private sector, there's going to be permit issues. So work with them ahead of time. Just makes it go smoother.
Any other questions, comments? Is everyone, staff recommendation, again, this is the entire MPO boundary is the study area, and then the DC fast charger. And if everyone's good with that, then just need a motion.
We're going to make a motion to be part of the study.
Seconds. And a second from Christina. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Thanks, Sarah. And this will go to policy board for their approval in 2 weeks. Next item, number 8, discussion item regarding update on the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. You can see the in-kind tractor's a little delayed. We've been, I think with the summer hours, working to catch up, but hopefully next month we'll have an update through July or at least through June. Anita, do you want to touch briefly on the public engagement updates?
Sure, as you can see on the graph on the screen, the yellow line is the total visits to the website, which is great. It's at 2,819. And then the, sorry, I can't hardly read it, it's so tiny. The green one is the survey results. And those are 244. And then the blue one are the interactive map. That's when someone goes and pins a safety issue or concern on the interactive map. And that's 287. So we're doing really well with this survey and getting people to engage and going out into the community. The community is very involved and very interested in roadway safety.
Thanks, Anita. The only other update I have for the grant is that in the last 3 weeks, we've been out with Killeen-Temple to several of the first H-chip sites to do site visits. We're with Jason, we're at a couple spots in Temple, also Nolanville, and then Belton, Sparta. So those are the 4. There will be more of those in the fall once we do a second round of project selection and identify where the rest of the H-chip projects and also SS Spray projects will be. So no worries, Bob. And we're anticipating that updated project listing that was first approved back in February to come back in September. So maybe August we'll have a preliminary version, but if not in September is when we'll have an updated version. That's all I have for SS Spray. If there are any questions. All right, next item on the agenda is a discussion item regarding TxDOT updates on major construction projects in the NPO area. It's been a few months, so Michael's back to give us an update.
Morning, everybody. I think most of you know me already, but I'm Mike Gates. I'm the area engineer for TxDOT Development Area Office. I think the last time I gave an update was late last fall, November, December, so it's been a bit. So here's the projects that we're going to talk about. The last slide is kind of projects and closeout because it's been as long as we finished up several projects, so I was going to kind of go over those. First project, State Loop 121. Most of you are probably familiar with it. It's really close here. We began work in 2021. We're expecting to finish in early 2025. I think originally we thought it was going to finish this fall. You're running into some utility conflicts and some other things that have kind of held the project up a little bit. We do expect to see another traffic switch in August. That's going to take us from currently all the traffic is on the northbound side, and it will take us and split it so that we have 1 lane northbound, 1 lane southbound on those sides so that they can finish up the median work. They are currently paving final surface on the southbound lanes. We expect to do the final paving on the northbound lanes after they finish the median work. So, and that is kind of where we're at. So, next project is 363. This is an extension of the freeway section up around the northwest part of Temple. Started work on that in June. It was awarded to James Construction Group for about $53 million. We're expecting this project to finish in summer 2027. Currently working on drainage, bridge drilled shafts, and earthwork. They are basically, we're building 2 new interchanges, one at Industrial and one at Lucius McKelvey. and extending the freeway section to where it ties in on both ends. For anybody who travels up there, we are going to be building, they're going to be putting in their own concrete plant, basically where the southbound I-35 ramp to 363 is, kind of on the outside of that curve. We've already set up barrier rail there. That's because it's all concrete paving, and so they're going to produce their own concrete paving. State Highway 95 bridge replacements. This is also James Construction Group. Work will begin last July. I'm expecting to finish next summer. Willow Creek is currently completed, and they're working on Runnels, Cathy, and Darst Creeks. Those 3 crossings are in different stages of construction. One of them they're working on the second half. One of them they just recently demoed, and the other one they are placing beach soon. This is Darst Creek. It's the one that's the most recently started crossing. State Highway 95 turn lanes. This is a project that was originally put together by the City of Temple. We're building the project. It is very close to being completed. All the paving is completed. Basically, we have striping, signs, and lighting is what we have left to do on that project. The lighting's run into a little bit of a snag with the electrical service and getting that service installed, but other than that, the project's very close to being completed.
Michael, I gotta check the date. Someone mentioned yesterday that they're about to have the groundbreaking, or not groundbreaking, ribbon cutting for the new school. Because they said they're gonna be open this year, and then that's why we pushed to get the project.
We should be able to have, like, we're basically to open it to traffic, which is striking.
Right.
And I think a stop sign.
I'll see if I can get the date when that ribbon cutting is, and just for your visibility.
Okay, all right. Certainly we'll loop in RPI.
Yeah.
Let's see, so next project. 2410 rehab widening project. We are currently doing FDR. We did last summer and spring. We did mill and inlay in front of the high school in Harper Heights last summer. So we got it done before school started. And then started a bunch of the culvert work and that kind of stuff. Then building the widening out, and now we're actually doing the rehab. They only had, when I talked to them yesterday, they only had 3 or 4 days of rehab left. And then they're gonna roll right into the paving the final surface as soon as the rehab's completed. So would not be surprised to see them lay in asphalt next week. That should go relatively quickly. And so we're expecting this project to be completed in September, but for the average person driving on it, it's probably gonna feel like it's done next month. So our State Highway 195 barrier project, this is very similar, if you're familiar with it, to the project we did on 190 between Temple and Heidenhammer, and then east of Heidenhammer last summer. So we're basically doing an asphalt widening and then taking our own precast concrete barrier and placing it permanently and bending it. And it's on 195 from 201 south. We're expecting work to start on that at the end of this month and to be completed sometime in spring next year. Again, that's James Construction. They would have already started, we had our pre-construction comments already, but they're having some challenges getting some crash conditions. US 190 Rogers bypass, so I don't think I presented in this meeting, but the contractor is currently in default. We are working with bonding companies to get a new contractor on the project. I do believe I did present this to the policy board. And so unfortunately, we won't be able to really establish a good completion date until we get a new contractor on board and kind of get our schedule reset up and that kind of stuff. It's basically, the contractor wasn't progressing the project the way they needed to. They actually ran out of time I think in May. They ran out of contract time and they still have a third of the project to build. So the last I heard from the bonding company, they had solicited bids for contractors and wanting to meet with us sometime to get everything put together so we can. So that's where that was at. 1123 bridge replacements, that was awarded to CE Barker. Work will begin in August. Our pre-con for this project is next week. On Monday, I believe Brian's coming. So anybody else can stop by our office if you want. But this is, it's kind of on the rural part of the county. We're replacing 3 bridges on 1123 between Belton and Holland. They are full closures at each bridge location. One of the things that we did on this one, we understand how impactful it is when we do a full closure. And so we have pretty strong incentives for the contractor to make sure that they're getting not just the whole project done, but each individual location has an incentive on it. And so if they don't, there's a good push for them to get each one of the bridges done because the detours change each time we finish a bridge and close the next one. Again, that one should finish fall of next year. So projects in closeout. So we have 3 I-14 projects, our widening in Nolanville, our widening in Belton, and our barrier project in Killeen are all in some version of closeout. Either we're finalizing some kind of change orders to take care of quantity changes and overruns and that kind of stuff, or I think the barrier project is in vegetative establishment right now. We're just waiting for the grass to reestablish. Our West Central Bridge rehab or in vegetative establishment, that one. Still here. And then our W.S. Young signal, we're just going through closeout documentation on it. Central Avenue sidewalks is the same way. We're just going through some documentation on it. And our 201 Millen Inlay on 18, we're doing a punch list on, so we should be starting our closeout process on it, hopefully in the next week or 2. So that is all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Michael, when did you say the pre-con for those bridges were?
It's Monday. It's this coming Monday.
This Monday?
Yeah, I saw it. I double checked while we were in the meeting. You are on the invite list, so it should be in your outlook. So, but it's Monday. I'd have to look and see the time again, but it's on Monday. So, this last few weeks have been hard to squeeze pre-con meetings into the holidays and all that stuff. So.
Next item is number 10, discussion item regarding public involvement received through June 2024, and also one from July 2 that we have got stuck in there. I think a lot of these, the ones from May, August, they've been after the last TAC meeting, so people may not have seen them unless you're at policy board. These are all in your packet, mostly information requests. And was there anything you wanted to touch on for those?
They have all been forwarded to their appropriate jurisdiction with the exception of the one dated July 2nd. I have not forwarded that one out yet.
Yeah.
But hopefully this week we'll get that.
Yeah. I think that's probably mostly around what it looks like, information on some projects out of Copper's Cove, Riel County.
Yes, it's very exciting for me personally to see that these comments are not coming through Facebook, they're actually coming through our website. And a couple months ago, we rearranged our public comment link and put it on the very front of our website. So it's nice to see that it's working.
Yeah. Questions, comments? All right, item number 10 is, or item number 11, excuse me, is the director's update. The upcoming meetings here, now that says September 4th, but we'll update that to September 11th for the TAC meeting. There might be a missing BPAC meeting in there too somewhere. I think in September is the next BPAC meeting, but we'll get that added in. These two are carryover from last time, and I don't think I have anything new on either of them. Other than we did receive the Texas Veterans Commission grant to provide, we're working with the HOP on getting all that set up and getting that program running. Should be good for the region. Air quality for the month of June, it was 74 parts per billion, was the maximum ozone level in Killeen, and 65 at the Temple station. Summers usually are higher months, and so there's that spike there. Any questions on director's update? All right, item number 12 is member comments. Have anything they want to share? Well, hearing none, it's 10:10 and our meeting is adjourned. Thanks everyone for coming out for the holidays.